Hi, this is Drew Downs, and welcome to Faith 15, episode Lent. To talk about Lent, we need to talk about origin stories. How did you first come to church? Right? Either you were brought or you showed up. Right? So what's the difference? When did you first show up? What compelled you to come? What did you find when you arrived? We're all running on an assumption that we're part of something that's fully formed. Like, this is how it is. And when you're new and showing up for the first time, we're all thinking, okay, how do we do things here in this church? This is a lot like going to the self-help section of the bookstore when we're feeling like we're missing something, right? These people have figured out something that I'm still confused about. They have answers to my questions. What happens when you find out that your self-help guru is a mess, or is abusive to her staff, or somehow fails to live up to the standard you have for him? Something triggers in our brain that says not to trust them anymore, which makes us second guess everything we learned. Now, when that happens, we end up making a pretty curious move. We go somewhere else for answers, sometimes to the polar opposite. If it's not that, then it must be this. And what do we eventually find there? The same problem. There's an easier answer to this perpetual problem, however. It's to stop thinking that our questions get definitive answers tied to a perfect person sitting on a perfect mountaintop. But instead we ask other people who are walking the same path, learning the same things by asking the same questions and finding common responses which guide us to greater clarity. And when we get there, we can see that the early church started creating a way to get people at different parts of the journey to teach each other the ropes. And they settled on this time in the weeks before Easter to prepare people. So Lent, from the earliest time, is a time of learning and discovery. Now, all the stuff we do today, from the use of purple to the solemn tone, and all of our talk of fasting, has evolved over time with the church as a means of buckling down to do the work. And what is this work? Right? Learning. Lent is for learning. Historically, there are three aspects to what guides our learning in Lent, right? One, newcomers to the faith, right? So people who are to be baptized, people who have chosen to show up. They spend this time learning about the faith from someone already walking the path. The second one are the penitent sinners, right? These aren't people who fibbed or cheated on a test. These are people who did something seriously bad to someone else and have done harm to the community by it. Adultery, theft, violence, abuse, extortion, right? Big stuff. These people spend their time learning how to get back on the right path, which means they have to stop doing the bad stuff and trying to make things right with the people they've hurt. And the third one is the community. The people spend their time learning so they can welcome the newcomers who will change the dynamic of the group just by joining it. And they also have to learn how to let penitent sinners rejoin the path once they've made amends on Easter. So the group has to figure out how to be merciful and flexible. So those are the three traditional pieces, but there's a fourth one, and it's the one we all already know. The fourth one is the evolved tradition of discipline, which in this context means doing something intentional to bring more order and intention so we are more prepared to learn what we need to learn. So that is Lent in a nutshell.